Welcome back to RGO Photo. I'm Chris. Today we're going to test the Canon EF 28-80 USM Mark II, and we're going to put it up against the OG. The OG 28-80 USM. This one came out in 1991. This one came out in 1993. One of the interesting things about this Mark II lens is that, according to the Canon Museum, the optical system consists of only ecologically sound lead-free glass lenses for the first time in the world. It says lead-free glass was developed by Canon in cooperation with a glass manufacturer. We have a replica spherical lens at the second position and a molded plastic spherical lens in the ninth position. So the question is, does that translate to optical quality or not? The other interesting thing about this Mark II version is that the mounting bayonet back here is plastic. The OG is metal. Now, there were 5 versions of this lens in total, and the 2, 3, 4, and 5 version are more like this one, where it's very plasticky with plastic mounting bayonet, and they all weigh about 200 grams. I don't know what that is in ounces, but 200 grams. That is not very heavy. When you put these two together and hold them, there is a completely different feel between them. This is significantly heavier at 330 grams. So 130 grams more, and that's about, what, 60-65% heavier than this one. And you can feel it, and just the materials feel quality. I don't know. The plastic is different, but the metal mounting bayonet's the big one, and their diameter is not near the same. This is a bigger, beefier lens, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it feels like it has more quality. I shot these two on my test board that you may have seen in the other videos. I shot them without calibrating on the 5D Mark II. And I'll just be honest, the OG here just wasn't even close. Not close at all. So then I decided, you know what? Since I know I've been able to calibrate every lens I've tried so far, every lens that I've tried to calibrate on the Nikon, and I think the only Canon lens I've calibrated is my 24-105, that improved. You know, it wasn't a lot, but I improved it a little bit. On the Nikon, because I have the problem in the mirror area, it improved a whole lot. So I decided to calibrate and reshoot the test. So on the OG, to calibrate, I ended up at +4 on the calibration. And the calibration in here goes from 0 to -20 and 0 to +20. So the OG did a +4, so that's not a whole lot of calibration. So it did improve slightly, whereas the Mark II here, I ended up at +11. It significantly improved this lens. Let's see how they look side by side. Okay, so initially, what I'm going to show you here is the difference in the field of view, and we'll also look at vignetting and barrel distortion relative to each other. And we're going to use the uncalibrated two pictures because the 5D Mark II here, for whatever reason, doesn't recognize these as two separate lenses. So once I calibrated them both, when I switch lenses, it doesn't recognize that I have the other lens on. It just recognizes it as a 28-80 USM lens. It doesn't show it as Mark II or anything. So at +11 with this, when I switch lenses, it doesn't go to +4 automatically. It's not registering the lens. It still runs the +11. So I had to move the tripod around for the calibrated test. But the uncalibrated, here at 28 millimeters, we're going to look at tripods at the same spot. So all I did was just change the lenses. And so this is what we got. We got more vignetting on the OG here on the left, and it looks like more barrel distortion as well. We've also got a brighter center than the newcomer, but it looks like the newcomer has like a more even lighting a little less vignetting. When we zoom in here, you'll see that there's just it's brighter and whiter in the middle on the OG than it is on the newcomer. So now let's go to the calibrated test chart results and see how they did now that we're got them on the level on a level playing field. All right, 28 millimeters f3.5 where they're both wide open. We go into the center and we're just sharper here on the OG side. Just does a little bit better. Check our corners. Definitely better on the left. Left being the OG, definitely better there. Better there. And better there. So now we're going to stop down to F5. F5, you can still see we got plenty of barrel distortion on the OG, and we got decent distortion over here on the newcomer. Going into the middle. Middle's tough to say. Maybe this is a little sharper there than it is over here. In my notes I have it as a center tie because it is pretty darn close in the center. But top right's still better on the OG. Bottom left is still better, or bottom right's still better on the OG. That one's better on the OG. Top left, way better on the OG. So now let's stop down to 7.1. So according to my notes, since I've reviewed this already, it looks like we've got a very close center, and I just called it a center tie. It's hard to say. The OG may be a touch sharper, but it's really, really close. This corner's improved a bit on the newcomer, but I think the OG is still just a little bit better. Again, better. I might give this one to the newcomer. Bottom left looks like the newcomer got a win down there. And top left is still the OG. Moving on to 50 millimeters. Still OG on the left, going right in on that middle. Center looks pretty good on both. Corners still belong to the OG here at 50 millimeters. This corner definitely goes to the newcomer. And top left. And so with trying to cut this a little shorter, the next two apertures of 5.6 and f8 at 50 millimeters is the same result. Center's really close. The three of the four corners belong to the OG, and the bottom left goes to the Mark II. That being said, obviously clear winners at 50 millimeters as well. The OG still ahead. Now let's go to 80 millimeters. Here we're at 5.6, could be because these are 3.5 to 5.6 lenses. So neither of them are terribly impressive wide open here. They're both a little off, but clearly the OG is way better, even though it's not great. So let's check our corners. Way better in that corner. Better in that corner for sure. Royal flush, royal flush. This corner's been close. Maybe the newcomer wins that corner again. And while neither of these are good, this one is definitely better on the OG side. So now we're going to go down to 7.1, and the center, they both look pretty good. Looks like we just got a little bit different contrast on the right. Just a little different exposure or white balance. Something's a little different. But look at those words on the OG, so much better than over here. And even when you look at this bill, you can everything is just clearer. over there on the OG side of the house. That corner's not close. That corner's not close. This corner's pretty darn close. Probably, I might give that ever so slightly to the newcomer. And this corner, pretty close, but I think the OG is slightly more well, maybe not. This is a little better on the newcomer, so maybe the left side right here went to the newcomer. So now let's go up 1/3 of a stop to F8. All right, we still got the OG. The OG is sharpened up quite a good bit. Real sharp, significantly sharper in the middle. Way sharper in that top right. Way sharper in the bottom right. It's got a real good bottom left on the OG, but I don't know, might actually be better at F8 than the newcomer. The newcomer's been pretty good down here. And this top left, I think this is sharper. This part of the frame is definitely sharper up here than over here. If we go down to the UPC down here, I feel like maybe the UPC, I think it's sharper on the OG. So looks like the OG wins the F8 as well. After having seen these test results, I decided there was no point in making example photographs with the Mark II version of this lens because it's just not that good at all. I don't know why a Mark II version would be worse than the Mark I. I have tested the Mark V version previously, and though I don't recall the results, I don't have that lens anymore, so I'm pretty sure I wasn't terribly impressed then either. So the OG continues to stand as my budget king here at $66 I have in this lens. This was $55 and not worth the $55. So hope you like these tests. Hope you liked this video. If you did, give us that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down there. And as always, thanks for watching.